like the edge of the technology. So give me 1 second. I'll tell you when we're back online. It'll just be a minute. This happens to everyone. Sometimes it appears that it's live and then it's not, which is not fun. You only find out when people start getting mad at you. They start calling my phone and going, "It's not working." Alright.
I'm going to have you do a close-up of his face.
Alright, it's binding the stream. Takes about a minute. Basically, I had to restart it. The other video is saving right now. This is actually on YouTube's end. I'm going to send them an email. That was weird. Oh, you're live again. There you go.
So, now I've been perfecting technique. I don't really know if it works or not, but it's a technique to make yourself appear younger. And I've been do a close-up of my face, just straight on.
1 second, it's like people are coming over to the new video.
Give it a minute.
When there's a glitch like that, it basically knocks you offline for about 2 minutes. There's nothing you can do. It just happens. See, look, 17. We had to lower the quality a little bit. I'm going to bump it up a little bit because it should look better than this. The video's catching up.
Oh, okay. Just bring that chair
Just on the edge of it. I gotta lower it just a little bit, which sucks, but I think it's the 60 FPS. You know what? That's it. Ah, there we go. Stream inactive. Health okay. Check the video resolution. All right. There we go. All right. Want me to? They're back.
I need to see the TV.
Remember, it's like a 30-second delay.
I know. Can you stand over here and I'll look this way so I can glance at that, so I can start recording. All right. I'm trying to perfect a method of making yourself feel look younger, and it's a $2 trillion industry worldwide. So it's $2,000 billion a year. People want to look younger, and I thought about it. I've applied it to half my face. I'm working on it. It's about 20 or 30% done. But if you look at the right side of my face, you'll see the wrinkles here on the forehead. You'll see this kind of hole here. It's a fat pad degeneration. You see how kind of loose the skin is here and here. You look at the eyes, you'll see the crow's feet here around the eyes. And then if you look at this side of my face, some people who have right brains can see that the wrinkles are less on the forehead, that the crow's feet are less here. The skin is much tighter on this side, in here as well. It's we'll see whether or not it works. People say, well, why don't you do your whole face? Well, that would be dishonest. I mean, I am 70. And
Show your hands. That's the most dramatic
difference.
difference.
Yeah. If you can see my hands now, I've applied the process to this hand here, and you can see that
no age spots.
The age spots are much less on the left hand. I've also been taking my belly button away because this technique helps scar tissue quite a bit. I'm hoping it's going to help nevi or those birthmarks that sometimes you see on people's faces that paralyze so many people socially. So there's some techniques, but it's just starting, and whether or not it works. But if you look at both sides of my face here, you can see the hole here, Well, the hole's gone over here. Right? There isn't a hole there. So, and if you have a right brain, you can begin to see some of the differences. Now, I would love to have half my face 30 and half my face 70. See, when I want my Social Security benefits, I'll just go like this, and when I want to chat up some young girl, I'll go like this. So I'll keep you informed about that. It's going to take months and months more of applying. It's a series of lotions that I've invented, and then it's a process that's it's all patented.
Are you for or against aborting babies to get stem cells? It's a source of stem cells.
Well, no babies are aborted to get stem cells. There's a plethora of stem cells because of all the abortions. And that's a very difficult. Yeah, that's a very difficult issue. A very difficult issue. Women shouldn't approach an abortion lightheartedly. It's a major life decision. And you'll think about it a lot in your life if you have an abortion. You'll end up thinking about it a lot. That being said, it's a woman's body, and have her have a baby she doesn't want to have is basically a form of servitude. I would think so.
1 second. This is a sexual question, and I want to ask it to you. Are your parents still alive?
No. No, if my father was alive today, he'd be 120. 121.
That would be interesting.
My parents were buried in Arlington National Cemetery. I come from a military family, and he spoke 4 or 5 languages in 1916, 1917, so they put him in Army intelligence in Paris during the war, World War I. His job was to befriend German sympathizers, get to know them, usually couples, get all the information he could, and then take them for a walk in the Place Pigalle and shoot them both in the head. Women first, because men don't scream. And he was good at it. And I asked him, Daddy, why'd you kill all those people? And he said, because the United States is the last country where you can say what you want to say and do what you want to do. And he said it's going to be threatened, that it's going to be threatened by the left, not the right. And that's exactly what's going on. I mean, speech is becoming less and less free. There's all these words now that you can't say, and these ideas you can't have, or you're condemned, and it's all generated from the left wing. And it is I think the biggest political crisis in our country today.
Would your parents approve of what's going on in the USA right now with Trump and everything, and the SJWs and the white nationalism, all of it? What would they think?
My mother was a diehard Democrat. My father was sort of an independent thinker, so I'm sure they'd have different opinions about it.
Do you always dress like this?
Well, I like to dress up. I mean, I don't like to. One of my fondest memories of traveling was in the 60s when you went to Paris and you walked down the Champs-Élysées. All the French would be dressed up in their best clothes, and it was just a parade of just, old and young, but very well-dressed people, tastefully dressed. And now you go, and it just looks like Los Angeles. Everybody just wears T-shirts and shorts. It's way too bad. I had a friend, when I go to New York and I go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, he told me how to really enjoy a museum, because the European women still dress up and when they go to museums. So what he does is he goes in there and he finds one beautiful French woman or some beautiful foreign woman dressed to the T, and he follows her around for a while, and then when she gets nervous, he follows another woman around for a while. So he spends 6 hours in the museum. I'm not sure he sees any paintings, but he follows one work of art after another around the museum. So I think that's a way to enjoy museums if you're a guy.
How many children do your family have? Do you have any brothers and sisters? How big is your family in general?
I have 3 remaining siblings. 1 died, and I have 5 children. I don't like to touch people very much. I mean, as autists, we don't like to be touched. I particularly hate to be hugged. Some liberal comes along and hugs you because they think a hug's good for everything. That's battery when they touch me. So I warn liberals that if they're going to hug me, I'm going to kick them in the balls. So.
They love that. What's your favorite childhood memory?
Probably the pit bulls that my father raised. One of my stories about pit bulls is my brother was walking in the rural Maryland where I grew up, and this weirdo stopped the car, and he was a pederast, and he chasing my brother around the car, and you wanted some ice cream, let's go get in the car, boy, get in the car. And my brother was walking with the male, the sire of the puppies that of the pit bull puppies, the bull terrier puppies my father raised. His name was Mickey Finn, and Mickey Finn was up chasing butterflies in the field, and David called him when this guy was chasing around the car, and Mickey Finn came out of that field like a white bullet. And he was an interesting dog. He would kill other male dogs that came on the property in a matter of seconds. And he didn't growl or snarl or anything like that. He would open up that dog's carotid artery, and then he'd jump back and watch him bleed to death. He took one leap on the road, and he cleared the hood of the car, and he was aiming for this guy's left carotid artery. And that guy he was so scared, he jumped in his car, and Mickey Finn got his head in the car, but the guy was able to close it. Mickey Finn didn't snarl or bark or anything. He jumped back about 12 feet and watched this guy with these eyes as cold as ice. And that guy apparently came back about 3 months later. Mickey Finn slept alongside the Montevideo Road where we lived, and about 10 feet from the road in this car, stopped and backed up and then ran Mickey Finn over, and there wasn't a dry eye in the house that night because he was a great dog. So that's my favorite dog story.
What's your worst childhood memory?
Having to socialize. I mean, I was expelled from Catholic school in the 9th grade because I gave the finger to a nun, which they don't like that.
That's great.
And everybody said, "Oh, that must be terrible," because I'd been with these kids for 9 years. It was a small school, but it wasn't terrible with me because I didn't have any friends. I really didn't know anybody in the class, so I went on to public school. So that wasn't the worst thing that happened to me.
You did say you have no friends, but who was the first friend you ever remember having? You have to have at least one.
Yeah, Brucey. Brucey is from St. Mary's Catholic School. He was a friend of mine for a long, long time. I just lost him as a friend about 6 months ago. I hope to get him back. But.
What are your thoughts on devil worship?
Worship who you want. I mean, I think people do that. Young people do that. Just shock their parents. It's fine, shock your parents. You know. Just keep something in mind that it's coming up on Mother's Day in May 1st, and your mother loves you. She may not show it the way you'd like her to show it, but she wants what's best for you. And I'll give you a poem to give her. I modified Elizabeth Barrett Browning's "How Do I Love Thee? Let Me Count the Ways" to be for mother, and you can send your mother that poem, and it's free, and it'll mean a lot to her. So I'll give you that poem sometime in the future.
Someone says, were you in the CIA or involved with any government agencies? Can you talk about it?
Briefly, and I don't want to talk about it.
All right. What is your favorite book in the Bible?
Well, I don't have books. I guess Proverbs would be high on the list. And I have a few in the Bible. The one, I hear these people talking about, for example, Trump, how terrible Trump is. And what they're doing is judging Trump. And, they judge him this and that, and he's not good enough, and he's a narcissist. And he is not a narcissistic personality disorder. You can't have a personality disorder and be president. That's, you have to have a personality disorder. It has to impair you. Trump's problem, as I said a couple of days ago, is he can't speak English, and so he can't really be the president. I view him as a Bronx businessman taking care of America's business is what I view him. But people judge him, and Jesus spoke about judgment. He spoke dispositively, which is a legal term of art, and it means the law is clear. This is what you should do. There's no argument. This is the law. And he said 2 words about judgment. Anybody remember what that is? If you remember what Jesus said about judgment, well, let me know.
What was the worst employee you've ever hired?
So I asked a question.
They didn't respond yet.
All right, so Jesus in the Bible, he said, judge not. He didn't say judge not except for Trump. He said judge not. Because something happens to you when you judge, and it's not good. And for example, Nancy Pelosi judges a lot. She said, I care more than they care. He doesn't care enough. The Republicans don't care. We care. They don't care. And I don't think she cares more than anybody else. But Jesus went on to say that if you do judge, the measure that you use to judge will become your measure. So Jesus will judge you based on the measure you use to judge others. And in Nancy Pelosi's case, that's how much do you really care? So, see, when she gets up there, Jesus is going to say, well, on April 15, 2012, you walked by this homeless guy. It was 2 a.m. in the morning, and nobody was there to see you. And you walked right by, even though you had change in your pocket, and he died 2 hours later. And Jesus will have like 17,000 examples of how Nancy Pelosi doesn't care more than anybody else, and Nancy Pelosi's in trouble. So she can just simply not judge. Just don't judge.
Would you have sex with Nancy Pelosi?
I hope not.
What about hate sex? Show her a bad time.
My idea of hell, when God, I don't do what my God wants. She tells me that if Johnny, she says, you're going to be, hell for you is going to be Nancy Pelosi's on one side of you and Sean Hannity's on the other side, and they're going to argue for eternity, and you're going to have to listen to them argue for eternity. And when God threatens me with that, I do what my God wants me to do. So. Now, people get upset because my God's a female God, and we don't need warrior gods. We need nurturing gods. And anyway, my God is my mother, my mother's voice. I don't see her, so I don't see visions or anything. And she calls me Johnny, so that's why I know she's my mother. And I pray about things like this summer. My 16-year-old daughter had a brain tumor, and my ex-wife didn't really want to tell me much about it, so I didn't know. And I would pray. I prayed, God, what's going to happen? Is it cancer? Is she going to die? Why her? And God answered me the same way she always does when I ask about that stuff. She said, Johnny, that's none of your business. That's my business. Go do your business. And it simply means that you focus on what you can do, and not on what you can't do. And I can't know the future. It turns out it wasn't brain cancer. It was a myxoma, which is basically a benign process, very slow growing infection. So anyway, I've got a great God. You can't have her. You have to get your own God. Everybody should have a personal God, somebody that you can help.
We got a question stacked up here. What are your thoughts on single mothers?
I think single mothers are great. It's a hard life, though. I mean, if you're a woman, that pull is there early. A baby is a big deal to a woman. I mean, it's if you're 21 and you've got a 2-year-old and you've got to earn your own living, you've got to be a mother and a father to that baby, and that's a hard life. That's a hard life. So my advice is to, when you have your babies, plan it out, and you'll have plenty of time. You don't have to have your baby when you're 18. So.
Did you meet any hot mothers in the mental hospital?
No, they were some. They were all boys, and the homeless are not that hot.
Do you believe in the power of prayer?
I do.
All right.
But I mean, I'm not overtly religious. I don't go to services, and I don't quote the Bible, and I don't believe in fire and brimstone. And, I don't really even believe in heaven. I like to repair the world. That's what you can make your own heaven or your own hell here on earth, and that's kind of what I believe.
I got a question from a girl. Are you still sexually active?
I am.
Yeah, it's good. All works. It's a
girl
asked you.
It works. Yeah, It's shrinking.
No Viagra?
It's shrinking with age. But my observation is, if you got money, the girls don't mind.
Have you ever been in prison or jail?
Yes, I was in the holding cell of the LAPD Pacific Division about a month ago.
If you drink beer, do you drink Dos Equis? What's your favorite alcohol? I want to know about your alcohol.
I like, sometimes I have 2 gin and tonics at night. Sometimes I have 2 daiquiris. Sometimes I have some brandy. But I like Dos Equis. Yeah, it's good beer.
All right.
But I don't drink over 2 drinks in the evening. The reason I don't do that is because if you notice when you drink, a couple of drinks, you feel good, you feel relaxed. But you add more alcohol to that, I don't get anywhere with it. I don't. If I feel good after 2 beers, I don't feel great after 4 beers. I still feel good, but I don't feel great. It's just it's a losing proposition. So I don't drink over 2.
What is your wildest drunk experience?
Well,
they do remember the story about
about
the kiss.
I was drunk. A different one. Yeah, I was drunk when I turned out the first girl I ever kissed was a boy. I guess I was drunk about that. I tell you, I got a lot drunker afterwards. I used to arm wrestle, make money arm wrestling because I figured out how you can beat people arm wrestling. I won't tell you about it. I would go into bars. I mean, I was young and I was pretty strong, but I beat these muscle guys, and it was just
leverage.
It was a question of, it was a question, and I would get drunk when I did that, but I don't.
Have you ever seen the movie Over the Top, starring Sylvester Stallone? It's about a truck driver who wins arm wrestling.
I have never known.
You would like that movie.
I don't like movies, so.
What are your thoughts on Xanax, LSD, psychedelics, and shrooms in that?
Well, in an effort to be normal, I was prescribed Xanax for 20 years, and it gave me what's called pseudo-dementia, and it also caused me to be delirious. I haven't had any Xanax for about 2 years, and I think it's a terrible drug. It actually makes you more anxious. Mm-hmm. What happens with Xanax is it comes off the receptor site very early in the course of its metabolism, and when it does that, you get more anxious. That's why when you take it, you'll feel relaxed for half an hour, and then you get anxious again. You want to take another Xanax, which makes it a terrible drug for anxiety and makes it very addicting. So it's one of the leading causes of what's called pseudo-dementia. That means that the person looks like. I mean, I was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease 2 years ago, early Alzheimer's disease, and now my mind is as sharp as it's been in 30 years because I'm off the Xanax. So Xanax is a terrible drug.
Thoughts on mushrooms, LSD, psychedelics, just major differences, any personal experiences?
Yeah, I remember once in Athens, I was taking LSD and I was walking around underneath the Acropolis of the Parthenon, and I never could get there. I would walk by this guy and selling fruit, and I asked him, well, where's the Parthenon? And he'd point to it up on the hill, and I'd walk towards that hill, and somehow I'd get lost. And 10 minutes later, I'd walk by that guy again. I must have walked by him 100 times.
That's good.
See, that's the thing overseas. They just think you're another crazy American. They don't
care. They can't tell whether they're on drugs or not.
They think everybody in the United States walks around 100 times and says, where's the Parthenon? I guess. I don't know.
That's great. This girl is asking if she should still be taking Adderall, or she should get off of it.
Well, stimulants. I find some naturally occurring stimulants, work better. Adderall's pretty harsh in terms of the up and down sort of thing, but everybody's different for it. It's not a bad drug. I mean, it does make you more productive. It's the opposite of marijuana.
Yeah. So, a lot of top video game streamers and a lot of top people in esports, they're all on Adderall. Mm-hmm. Do you think that's cheating, or there should be some kind of drug-free league, or they should compete separately? Because you basically have to take it to be at their level.
Well, in 1930s, the female German swim teams, some of them started using suntan parlors in their training rooms, And the German teams that didn't have these suntan machines called foul because the women swimmers who went to suntanning parlors started winning all the meets. So you could ask the same question, and that was asked then, that they shouldn't be allowed to expose themselves to basically to artificial sunlight because it increased athletic performance. Well, it turns out now all elite athletes take vitamin D. Pretty much all the teams take vitamin D, and it's because it improves athletic performance. It's not dramatic, and it doesn't make a bad athlete a good athlete. But if you're sensitive and you, like, say you play tennis and you live in a temperate climate, you'll see your game deteriorates in the fall, and it's lowest in January, February, March, and then in the summer you often will be much better, hit your sweet spot, and that's all secondary to vitamin D.
What's your advice for someone that's suffering from paranoid schizophrenia?
Well, be sure of the diagnosis for one thing. There's a problem, and I'm going to say this again and again and again. Real doctors are proven wrong all the time. You go to a doctor and they think you have diabetes and they run some tests and you don't, and the doctor's wrong. Psychiatrists have never once in their entire career had that experience. If they think somebody has schizophrenia, and that's a relatively easy diagnosis to make, but you can't confirm it. So you don't know for sure what's going on, and psychiatrists are absolutely certain that they know all these diagnoses, and they don't. Without an objective way, there's no blood test, no x-ray, so don't believe what your psychiatrist says. You're you, that's who you are. So
do you have any thoughts on astral projection? Is it real? You know what that is?
I do know what that is, and I don't have any opinions about it. I mean, see, I don't think about things I can't know.
Mm-hmm.
You can't know that by thinking. You can't know whether there's a God by thinking. You can't know whether astral projection is real by thinking. And so I don't have opinions on things that I don't think about, because what's the point of thinking about something that thinking can't tell you the answer?
Do you know what MK Ultra is? It has to do with that question.
I've heard the term, but not.
So, can I explain?
Sure.
So you can answer. MK Ultra is the government's program in the 60s and 70s, an attempt to use and prove that astral projection and LSD and mind control was real. They attempted to use astral projection to see Russian government plans and things like that. And they spent millions and millions and millions of dollars on this. Apparently there were some results.
And all the experiments failed. That's what happened.
As far as you know. That's
why the CIA gave it up. If it worked, they'd still be doing it. They don't. It's totally unpredictable. It's a Manchurian Candidate. It's a movie. Mm-hmm. That's just nonsense. It doesn't work like that. Human beings don't work like that.
So
the human body doesn't work like that.
You don't believe in hypnotism, then? That's the.
Well, no, I believe in hypnotism. If you're very suggestible, you can get hypnotized. But
do you meditate? Have any experience in meditation?
I do meditate. For me, praying and meditating is about the same thing. And at night I try to talk to my mother, and she's been dead many years, but sometimes she talks back to me, and that's as close as I get to meditating and praying. So.
Right. Are you a member of the Illuminati?
I'm not. I was a member of Phi Beta Kappa. I think I still am, but I'm not a member of the Illuminati or Mensa or anything like that.
Have you ever had a premonition that turned out to be true?
Yes.
Do you want to elaborate or no?
Well, it happens all the time. I mean, there's a couple of things. My mind is such that I make a lot of associations. For example, out on my deck there's the first, to my knowledge, the first experiment ever done in human history on vitamin D toxicity in plants. I've got some tulips out there that are dying because I've been giving them toxic doses of vitamin D, and I want to see what the dose is that'll kill a tulip, and it's a huge dose to kill a tulip. But because plants are DNA based, and vitamin D is a messenger of DNA, so I make those kind of associations. I like that part about my brain. And it's now 9 o'clock, so we're going to sign off, and I'm not going to be able to do this every night. Let's see, today's Tuesday. I'll do it tomorrow, but I need to do it earlier. I need to do it at 7. So tune in at 7.
They do want to see us driving around in the Tesla. That's the request I keep getting most often.
All right, yeah, we'll do that. But I got notice today that Tesla's going to be $42,000 to repair, and luckily I've got some insurance. But it was stolen, so it should be on that. And it's going to take 20 days to get it fixed. And I just hope it's.
Totally for the record, we're not driving the stolen, broken one. We're in the loader.
No, we have the rental.
All right, is that it?
All right.
Want me to cut it?
Yes, cut it.
All right, say
good night, everybody.